Chase Lehocky here with the Blue Futon. And out of the IMAX 3D world, we have Brahmastra Part 1 Shiva. Is this worth your time? IMAX 3D? Or is it like a, not what I was expecting? So two things. Before going to this theater, I never saw a trailer, so I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Part 2, IMAX 3D. We go there, 7 o'clock showing, me and an Indian couple. Why are you saying Indian couple? Well, it really matters on what we both thought about the movie after it came out of the theaters. Anyway, 7 o'clock. Nothing was showing. Nothing was showing. They didn't download the movie, so we didn't start the movie till 9:15. We waited in that movie for 2 hours and 15 minutes to watch the movie. Hey, but we got the movie for free. We got a refund and free popcorn and sodas. So that's a positive. So here we are at. What's this movie about? You could call it a pretty simple premise, but it's India lore, and they're trying to do their new Astraverse with these gods and these fire elements, water elements, earth elements, bull elements. And there's a school in the Himalayan mountains, and there's a lot of dialogue with who this Shiva character is, who are his parents, and we're trying to conform into this movie. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 3 parts, and part 2 is supposed to be Dev, this new fire god that's underneath the mountain and putting the pizza thing together. I'm calling it the pizza thing because that's what Shiva called it. But then here we are at the end of the 2 hours and 45 minutes. Did I like this movie? I have a very mixed messaging with this movie, and it's not just me. It was also the couple coming out of the theater. We were both confused by the tone of the movie. Yes, it might have been great action set pieces and it looked fantastic, but how it started and how we were going, very different just story tone. I felt like that. Like we were both confused with like the end credits being like How to Train Your Dragon-esque, as well as there'd be strong gunplay on highway scenes or at trying to save the second person with the shape of the pizza, if you want to put it that way. But then when you get to the third act of the movie where you get to the school, it's a bunch of kids with magical arrows and magical swords, which doesn't match with anything that happened in the first part of the movie. Because the first part of the movie was these anklets and bracelets of like having power of the bull, having power of the monkey. So it was like, okay, it's the elements of, animal powers. But then when you're at the school, it's kids doing Percy Jackson and like Last Airbender stuff. And Harry Potter stuff. So you're like, what's this movie trying to be? Is it trying to be like an adult love story with some good like gunplay action elements, or is it trying to be a kid's story at the very end? So it wasn't just me, it was also the Indian couple where they were just like, they didn't know if they liked it either because they did not know what they were trying to get out of the movie as well. And they even said that they don't even know if a second one's going to come out because it really matters how well this one does, even though they said there's going to be a part 2 and it's going to be based on Dev and that storyline. But will it come out? Will this have the good critical and audience reception? We will find out. But with that, I will give the positives of the movie first. The movie looks fantastic. The choreograph of the dancing in the beginning, the CGI, the VFX is absolutely stunning in this movie. It looks fantastic. The 3D effects with that element to it is gorgeous. Where they put their budget into the VFX looks great. And also the first half of the movie is all about lights. And you'll notice there's lights everywhere. And it's gorgeous background. It's not just the foreground. It's the background. It looks fantastic. It is really, really fun to watch. And that DJ scene in the beginning, that dancing, spectacle, it just looks gorgeous. So you cannot say this movie does not look apart. And it looks like it has a fantastic budget. This is the first Hollywood blockbuster-esque looking film that came out of India. I know that sounds kind of weird, but when you look at like USA blockbusters that come out of Hollywood with that big budget, like fantasy element to it, this looks just like something that came out of Hollywood. So they are ramping up pretty well of how their CGI looks and everything like that. Because when you look at other countries, what they're doing, like I said, I watch a lot of movies. China still isn't even at that level. They have these weird like volcano ones, which doesn't look good. This looks fantastic for what it is trying to do. The love interests, chemistry galore. I heard they were married in real life, so there's going to be chemistry on that level. And I do think this story is very interesting as a person that doesn't know this lore, because there's a lot of Indian lore. I think, it's very interesting about what they're trying to do and who these characters are, the power of the monkey, the power of the beast. So going into not knowing what you're getting yourself into and not knowing this lore and this mythology of it, you are going to, enjoy it because it's something new for the eyes of the viewer. But now let's talk about the negatives of the film, which it is such mixed messaging because even though I enjoyed the first half of the movie of like, trying to get these circle pieces and to make sure they don't go together, I enjoyed that part. It was like before the intermission. Let's go that way. The movie before the intermission, I was all in. And then when the intermission came and we go to the last third piece, that's when it went downhill spiral and I did not know what this movie wanted to be. Did it want to be a adult love story, which we were trying to figure out this guy's power? Or did we want to go in this school territory of like this Harry Potter, Percy Jackson of learning your powers and everything like that? So it was just confusing of what the end goal of the movie. Did it want to be this, the first half of the movie, or does it really actually want to be the second half of the movie with these kids going forward to this Dev Part 2 storyline and then Part 3 as well? If I'm guessing what Part 2 is going to be, I hope it is more of a backtrack of what this Dev character is, how he got to being in the statue and then coming out. So I hope that's what that shows, is that whole progression storyline. Or is it going to be after everything happens, Part 2 is going to be a continuation of what Dev is going to do for the future and what these characters in this school in the Himalayas are going to try to do to stop this. So I don't know. And then they really, to me, don't talk about where the kids came from. Is it random kids in the school? Are they the kids of the other Brahmastras that are, guarding this realm, if you want to put it that way? Are they the kids? Or are they just random people? Because I'm pretty sure there's an Asian kid there. And India is Asian, I know. But when I say like, I don't know what part of Asia. It could have been a Chinese person. It could have been a Japanese. Could have been South Korean. Could have been a Thai. Could have been a Philippine. I don't know. But, that kid was just randomly there. And it didn't really match any of the other Brahmastras, the Indian folk. So I was just really confused. Like, where did this kid come from? Where are they getting these people? Then how do they have these bow and arrow powers? Because it's not talked about. I mean, understand the power of the elements, like the airbender stuff of like him controlling fire, him controlling water, and that person controlling the power of the monkey or the bull because of M1s. But, having these swords and arrows and floaty stuff, it just comes out of nowhere in my opinion. So just the tone and everything happening in this movie, I was really confused. But then let's look at the IMAX. Like I said, it's same at the beginning. The 3D, and this looks gorgeous. One of the gorgeous looking movies that came out of India, in my opinion. Popping CGI, popping colors, and it really does shine in IMAX 3D. But as a movie goes, I don't know. Like I said, before the intermission, I was really digging this movie, but the second half, it just went to a completely different territory, and it really didn't explain a lot of these characters of where they're coming from. And let's even talk about the two main characters in the very, before the intermission. We understand the main guy, who he came from an orphanage because the backstory of how he could control fire, not control fire, but doesn't get hurt by fire. But her storyline is very basic of like, she came from a rich family, and that's it. So it's a hard movie to rate because I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I'm going to watch this one again or if I'm really, really into seeing what Part 2 is, because I don't know what the Part 1 wants to be. And that is unfortunate to me. So Brahmastra Part 1, Shiva, will receive a 2.5 out of 5 with Futons. He goes at 50%. It does feel like I'm being a little harsh on this movie, but just the tone at the last half. Yeah, it looked good, but where do these characters come from? Are you trying to be a How to Train Your Dragon? Are you trying to be your own universe? Then who are these kids? Anyway, what did the critics' news scores give this one? Interesting. So you have a critics in 88% with 8 of them, and the audience score is 74% with fewer than 50. I'm curious what the critics are giving it. A 3 out of 5, a 6.5 out of 10, 3 out of 5, a 4.5 out of 5. But yeah, it's not just me. That's why I said there's an Indian couple and Western audience to see if India looks at this movie differently as this couple. Even though I'm just going off one couple, we talked about Indian movies. We talked about all the new stuff. He gave me a new recommendation to watch on Hulu, and watch on Netflix. And I was telling them what I watch, and they were shocked. They're like, man, you do watch a lot of Indian movies and Indian TV shows. Like Dolly Crime, we talked about that. We were talking about the Forrest Gump one. So we had the same, they had way more knowledge than me, but you know what I mean? Like, okay, we know what our wavelengths are for what kind of movies. And even the wife or the girlfriend and the boyfriend, the wife, the husband, they both came out saying, yeah, it was okay, but they didn't know what they're getting. They didn't know the tone either. Like, it was all over the place for them too. So anyway, we have the 88, the 74, or the 60. Chisak with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think is Futonatopia. You Bluetoners, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day. But seriously, the IMAX 3D, it did look stellar.